Hey, your fantasy baseball draft may be right around the corner. So let's not draft some guys that could potentially suck. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Totally caught Kyle off guard with that intro, but it's true. This is a 2019 fantasy baseball bust video. These are guys that could potentially suck. And not so much just overall suck, but they could suck based off of ADP. This may be the most times I've said the word suck in a 30 minutes or 30-second span like ever. But it's true, and I want to make sure I preface this also. When we say bust, it also has to do with where they're being drafted, their ADP. Yes. You're paying high prices for some of these guys. You're reading a bunch of articles about what they potentially could be, but they may not be, and you don't want to overspend or lose value on draft day. I mean, it's a way to get yourself in the hole right off the bat. So as you can see, I mean, now we've laughed and started off, Kyle is with me once again. Kyle, how are you doing now?
I'm doing all right. You did catch me off guard, but that's okay. That's what we're known here for. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens around here. I kind of try to keep you on your toes with my immaturity.
I just about knocked my entire computer off.
I would have kept that, actually. Had that actually fallen over, I may have kept that in the video.
We're good. All right. We're good now.
All right, well, good. Well, hey, we each have a few names written down, one which we agree on, so we're going to, I almost said we're going to tag team if that sounds bad. So we're going to go ahead and get into a few names, and just in case you guys are needing it, I'm going to timestamp them down below in case you want to go to a certain player. You may not want to, though, because me and Kyle are extremely hilarious at times, and you might miss something super funny. So, Kyle, do you want to start off with the one name that we agree on? Kind of get that one out of the way.
Yeah,
it's Bryce Harper. It's a big one. Yeah, Bryce Harper.
Yep. We're going to talk about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper doesn't even have a team yet.
That's a problem.
As of this recording, he doesn't have a team yet. I mean, that could change any day. But, with Bryce Harper, something I need to ask everybody out there, and I'd like everybody to comment below and answer this question. Is Bryce Harper the most overrated player in all of baseball?
Potentially. And I don't hate Bryce Harper. I like him. I think he's a very gifted player. But when he was like in the draft, I mean, he was tabbed as like the LeBron James of baseball. He was supposed to change the game of baseball. He was supposed to be the next great star. He was supposed to be the guy that comes in and wins MVP awards and career home run leader and hits. I mean, all these things is what they said about this kid coming out. And it's just never happened. And right now he has an ADP of 16 without even having a team. He'd be the sixth outfielder off the board. He only has 2 seasons in which he's hit over 300. He only has 2 seasons in which he has at least 30 home runs. And he only has 1 season with 100 RBIs. He's dealt with some injuries. He's dealt with a lot of inconsistency. The good news is that his line drive percentage was only 1 point lower in 2018 than his career high or than his career average. So there is still, I don't want to hate on the guy this entire video. So I'm going to throw one nice thing in there about him. But people keep drafting Harper for his 2015 season, which is tremendous upside. And could he do it again? 100%. But the pressure of a new team, the pressure of a new contract, so many different things that could happen. I'm not willing to spend that kind of a price tag on him this year. He's just too inconsistent for me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's batted in the 240s 2 out of the last 3 years. And last year was a huge jump in his strikeouts. He had 169 strikeouts last year. And pair that with everything that you just brought up, that's a lot to kind of deal with a high draft pick. I mean, you're talking about your second round pick, probably, beginning to middle of the second round. There's a lot of other options out there right around with an ADP of 16 that I would rather take a chance on than rolling the dice on Bryce Harper, especially since we don't know where he lands. There's rumors with San Francisco and stuff floating around, but does it really happen? We don't know yet for sure.
Yeah, and I had this debate on Twitter the other night. Somebody had wrote, do the Philadelphia Phillies really need to sign Bryce Harper? And someone responded to them and said, of course, he's the face of baseball. Why wouldn't you jump onto that? To which I responded, I think Aaron Judge would have something to say to you. Mike Trout is the best baseball player, but he's not the face of baseball. And it's because of who he is. He doesn't want that. He's not that kind of a person. I would say Aaron Judge right now is the face of baseball. Harper's probably a close second. He just hasn't been good enough lately. The only reason that he's being considered the face of baseball right now is because he's in the news a lot, because he's the big free agent.
Yep. All right. Well, it's time for me to go a little bold, Kyle.
those of us that have been around here for a while, if Bryce Harper wasn't bold enough, I'm going to throw a name on the list who is the runner-up to the MVP award in the NL last year, Javier Baez of the Chicago Cubs. And everybody's going to be like, what are you talking about? The guy had an absolutely crazy season, and he did. He had career highs in almost every statistical category. But his ADP right now is just above 16, right at 17. His plate discipline is still somewhat of an issue. He's one of the worst in the league in his swinging strike percentage and swings at pitches outside of the zone. I mean, he's kind of wild. And if you look at the numbers from last year, all career highs, a lot of them which are not, something that can be sustainable. This is somebody who could regress a lot this year, and you could end up overpaying for him if you take him right there at the beginning of the second round.
Yeah, he literally had like his perfect season last year. Everything came together. He did everything right. Very good baseball player. So maybe this is him moving forward. But you're putting a lot of stock into a guy that has always struck out too much. And that has, before this, I mean, he's gotten better every single year. I'm having a difficult time because if you draft him and he's amazing, then it's obviously worked out and you're going to have a, potential top 5 player. But if you do take him and, what we've seen is not who he is, then we run into a little bit of an issue. So I have a lot of mixed feelings on Baez.
Yeah. And usually when I have a lot of mixed feelings like that, I try to just stay away if possible, depending on who else is on the board. I wouldn't reach for somebody, over gambling with him. But if there's other options there, then I would think about it. Like I said, it's just too much worry of regression for me.
Yeah, and I mean, you say that the guy who finished second in the MVP voting in the National League last year is a bust. Well, I'm going to say the NL Cy Young winner last year is going to be a bust. So getting a little bit more bold as we go along. But this is one of those, again, busts in terms of ADP. Not necessarily going to be a guy that you regret drafting at the end of the year, but a guy that at his ADP you say, I really wish I could have gone with somebody else, and that's Jacob DeGrom for me. Last year he had a career high with 217 innings and his strikeout percentage up to 32.2, another career high for him. And he had a career low in extra base hit percentage as well, which is all the way down to 4.8. And his ADP currently sits at 15. He's the third starting pitcher off the board. I'm seeing 3-4 in a lot of different leagues right now. His line drive percentage and his ground ball to fly ball ratio, though, were in line with his career average. And his balls on batting average against. See, you made this comment. You do this to me in another video, and as I'm saying it, I'm thinking to myself, Kyle, don't mess up because Jake is going to.
I can't hold it together, Kyle. I can't hold it together. I'm trying.
His batting average of balls in play was 283. The league average was 299. So there's a few marks there that point to me for a little bit of regression. I don't see him happening. I can't even keep it together. It was like that time I said blind squirrel nuts.
Yeah. I mean, if the people aren't entertained by now, there's something wrong because you literally just said his balls.
Oh, man. So there is likely to be some regression, especially in these areas, including his ERA. I think he's going to be a good pitcher in 2019. I don't think he's going to be what he was last year, though. I would rather skip on him at his ADP and take a guy like Paul Goldschmidt and then wait till the next round and take Aaron Nola or Corey Kluber.
Yeah, 100%. But not only – yeah, that's a great one, Kyle. Great take on his balls. We're now going to say that you've talked about the NL Cy Young, and you've got that all covered, and you made your case. But I'm going to add the AL Cy Young Award winner to the same list. I'm going to talk about Blake Snell of the Tampa Bay Rays. He had a great season, a season in which he put up an ERA of 1.89. I mean, he led the league in wins. He had a great second half of the season. But to me, it just kind of worries me that he still plays on a team that is not really an offensive juggernaut. The run support isn't there. A slight difference here or there could really make a big statistical difference for him. And the numbers which we saw for him last year are not sustainable for an entire season, season after season after season. The lack of run support, and I have a feeling you're going to be paying the price for the numbers that he produced last year. and I'm not so sure that he can duplicate that same thing. Now, is he still a decent, solid pitching option? Absolutely. But do I want to pay a high price tag, one of the first pitchers off the board, probably within the top 5 pitchers off the board? Not so much.
The projections show some regression coming as well. I mean, they're showing 2.98 ERA, which is obviously quite above the 1.89 that he had last year. They're not showing that he's going to get to 200 innings. They're not showing that he's going to strike out nearly as many hitters, only 181 strikeouts this season. So the projections are even showing us there's likely terms of regression coming. And I've always liked Blake Snell. I have always thought he's going to be a really good pitcher. I never envisioned what he ended up doing last year, though. And that's in a season which in his sophomore year, as 2017, he had a 4.04 ERA. And he only struck out 119 batters in 129 innings. So did this guy just automatically find it and he really is one of the best players in baseball? Or is he a good pitcher and he just had an excellent season?
Yep, exactly. Had he been on another roster somewhere which would give him that run support more often than maybe Tampa Bay, I would maybe say, hey, he's got a chance to at least, get close to the win total number. But it just worries me there in Tampa Bay. I mean, they're historically one of the lower scoring teams in all of baseball.
Yeah. So my next player is going to be a guy who was supposed to break out last year, supposed to break out the year before. He was quite literally one of the best minor league players that you've seen in quite some time, and it's Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins. I'm not doing it this year. Now, if I'm in a dynasty league and I can get him cheap, I'll do it. I'll take the flyer. And redraft, though, there's no way. And that's even at his ADP right now of 179. I'm still not going to draft him as an essential part of my lineup. Not going to happen. I would rather skip Buxton and buy a guy like Gregory Polanco 13 spots later. Gregory Polanco's ADP is actually lower than Byron Buxton's right now. In 2016 and 2017, Byron Buxton's batting average of balls in play, I got at that time, was above the league average. The problem has always been his strikeout. So the guy strikes out way too much. In 4 years, Buxton has averaged a K every 2.9 at bats. The average MLB average is only 4.2. So he's even well above that at this point. 2015 through 2017, his line drive percentage was in line with the major league average, but that dropped to 19%. So last season. So, it was a really bad season for him. He was supposed to break out. It didn't happen. I'm done buying it in a dynasty league where I can keep him around long-term and put some other people above him and hope I'll buy into him, but I'm not. There's no way that I'm going to spend a pick on him in redraft.
Can we say that he is now the fantasy baseball version of Bigfoot? You've heard all these stories. You've heard all these great things. You've just never seen it.
Here's the thing, though. There's much more tape of Byron Buxton doing these things than there is of Bigfoot because we've seen it. We've seen it on tape.
You never know, Kyle.
It depends on what website you're looking Bigfoot stuff up on. But we've seen these things on tape. They exist. We've seen the ability. He just can't do it at the major league level.
And that's a problem when you're a major league player.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, I know you have another one there on your list. Who do you got next?
Yoenis Cespedes is going to be my next player. I mean, with Cespedes, we know what the deal is every single year, right?
Yep.
It's health.
Yep.
The guy is never healthy. It seems like when he's on the field, he's a good player. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, he's a good player. He produces, but in terms of games played, 38 last year, 81 the year before, 132 the year before that. In 2015, he did have 159. He had 152 in 2014, but then 2012, 2013, he had a lot of hamstring issues when he was first signed and brought over. The guy, he's a good ball player. He's a really good ball player. He's just always got these nagging injuries. He's always missing time here or there. Playing, in the cold weather of New York to begin the season isn't very, very beneficial for him. That's a team that expects to be a lot better this year, but he has to be on the field for that to happen. And I just can't continue spending a draft pick on an outfielder, one of the deepest positions in fantasy baseball, knowing that there's a chance that during that season I'm going to have to replace him 2 or 3 different times because he just can't stay on the field.
Yeah, I've owned him in years past, and it's kind of one of those love-hate relationships because you love it when he plays, but but then he hits a double into the gap, and you're like, oh man, here goes his hamstring, because you just know he's going to pull it. I mean, it's a given. He just can't stay healthy. I mean, he's had all kinds of issues, multiple different injuries, and like you said, it's a shame because when he's in the lineup, he's very productive. But you hit it right there at the very end. There's just so much depth at outfielder. You really don't need to waste your pick on somebody who's going to be there a third of the season, maybe. Yep, absolutely. All right, did you have anybody else there you wanted to discuss right now?
That is it for me. That is all my busts at the current moment.
Perfect. Well, we're going to have more busts as we go on. This is just bust part 1, I guess, something like that. I'm sure we'll have bust part 2. What was that?
1.0.
I like it. All right. Well, anyway, now that I know what that was, hey, just wanted to throw this out here real quick, too. If you're new to the channel and you hit that subscribe button, make sure you throw a comment down below. We'd love to be able to welcome you to Headliner Nation. It's an ever-growing community, a positive community where we really like to interact with everybody. So if you're new to the channel, hit us up down in the comment section. Either myself or Kyle will reach out to you. We'll welcome you here to the channel because we really appreciate the support. Like I said, this whole fantasy baseball thing kicking off this year is new to the channel, and so far we've had a positive reaction to it. A lot of people out there looking for some fantasy baseball content. Glad to give it to you. Make sure you're checking out all the other videos, rankings videos, tons of different options out there for you. We really appreciate your support. Make sure you head over to Twitter. We do a lot of work over there. Also, you can find Kyle at krich1532. You can find me at Fantasy Headliners, FNTSY Headliners. We'd love to communicate with you on both social networks. Really appreciate the support, and we will talk to you guys later.